Picked the wrong week and quit sniffing glue.
Hello everybody, welcome back. It is week two of 2 weeks. I don't think we're gonna take much more into this week to finish, but this is week 2 on the TIE Fighter. Now, this is Studio Series. I may have mistakenly said Studio Scale. It is the Studio Series TIE Fighter from Round 2 / AMT, and what they mean by Studio Series is up to anyone's guess. I've had a lot of good speculation over the last weekend, since the last video went up, whether or not the pilot was the right scale for the ship or what, and a lot of I won't say armchair quarterbacking, but a lot of second guessing and speculating. Well, you know, that's what the internet's good for. Everybody has a chance to bring out their ideas about things. I personally think the pilot is too small, but what I personally think doesn't really matter. It's the fact that you enjoy making your model. That's the important thing. But here we are. I have been putting some of the two-part JB weld into some of the seams or the gaps that have shown up, and the reason I do that is because it is self-leveling. It doesn't seize up right away. It will skim over and give you a nice smooth finish at the top. Plus it's gray. It's not like I have to do a lot of cover-up painting. If I were using the white Tamiya putty or the terracotta colored Bondo putty, I would have to go back in with more paint and really cover that up. But I would have the same issue with steel stick or the JB weld, and that is it is gray to start with, so it blends in a lot better. But on some of the larger gaps, I'm just taking a toothpick and kind of filling in, and hopefully that will skin over and take care of some of that. But we're going to be doing that this week. We're going to be doing the finished touch-up painting. Obviously, I've got to paint the guns and permanently attach the wings, things like that. And then I got to figure out the best way to mount this. I do want to stick it to a wall like that, pretty much. And I just need to figure out the best way to put the stuff on the back that the wall can attach to. So if I do my wiring down like that, then I can... apparently I can run a 9-volt battery to this. I was assuming because I was mixing SM LEDs and the chip lights, that, you know, the strip lighting and the chip lighting, that it was going to cause a problem. Or there's strip lights in the floor, there are bulbs here, and then there are chips back here in the engines. And generally when that happens, I run into a problem of it not having enough juice to run everything, and I end up having to run a 9-volt transformer to it. But the battery seems to be taking the slack for that. So I think what I'd like to do is maybe put a battery on it, just let it run, do a burn-in, and see how long a battery would last. I would rather not need a battery. I would rather be able to attach, you know, hook this to the wall somehow, and then just have a battery pocket in here, something like that. Well, probably at the bottom. But that would allow me to, if I did something like that, that would allow me to use a battery, and then I could just move this wherever I wanted to. I don't have to have a cord running down the wall. So maybe we'll check that and see how long the battery would last and see if that's even practical. But that's a consideration for this week, and then getting the final construction done is the other consideration, plus the tiny decals that go on the outside of the kit. Before I do that, I'm going to have to do the touch-up paint and then the overall clear coat so that the decals will stick. And then after that, I can go back and put the windows in and the hatch in, because they've got clear parts on them that you don't want to get dirty with the clear coats. Alrighty, so while we're waiting for the JB Weld to cure, which is taking its sweet time here, I'm going to try out something that is one of the bigger paradoxes of the TIE Fighter build, and that is the fact that even though the lasers shoot green beams, they are in fact orange or reddish LEDs to start with. Well, I painted some orange on the LED, some to me a clear orange, nothing special. But luckily the green LED is so strong that it more or less blows all that out as soon as you hit with the power. See, it looks orange, but as soon as you put the green, as soon as you put power to it, the orange paint goes away and it makes a green beam. So that's all we need to do. Now I'm going to go back over the shafts, so to speak, with the body color and basically make them disappear by making them the same color as the rest of the body. And then again, hopefully as soon as that JB weld cures up, we can get that painted, because really that's about all that's left, is touching up the paint over the limited number of seams that are left. So we'll touch the paint on this, touch up some other places where the paint has been scraped off by a stray clamp here or there. Also some of the smaller gaps that happen between parts. If you hit them with a coat of paint, they go away. That's kind of where I'm at now. It may look like I'm stalling for time, but I'm really not. There's stuff that needs to get done. Once all of that gets dried and sealed and all of that, I've got to stuff, or at least cover the openings here with tape or paper or something, so that I can spray a clear finish on this that will allow me to put all of those minute decals down. This is the raw paint still, the Tamiya paint, and you really have to put decals down over a smoother finish. So we got that going for us, which is nice. Okay, well, you don't need to sit here and watch me paint. See those, the overly long, even though I know they're proper, the overly long barrels, once you paint them, don't stand out near as badly. Making sure this week that I do a better job of camera mindfulness than I did last week. That was Bush League. Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, and you know they say that no time is wasted if you learn a lesson, and I have to agree and disagree with that, because the lesson I learned yesterday ended up making me waste an entire day. Maybe waste is a poor choice of words, but what had happened is that yesterday morning I put on the JB weld that I was using to cover up some gaps and some cracks in the gaps and spaces in between parts on the body of the TIE Fighter here. And I chose the JB weld for very good reasons, but it took all day for it to dry or to cure. Every time I would go back to it, it would still be tacky. It wouldn't set up, and it took till about 6 o'clock yesterday evening before it was dry enough or cured enough to do any work with. So what I did is I did do the little bit of filing that I needed to do, and I hit it with a coat of the spray paint that I needed to hit. But it took all day waiting for those little bits of epoxy to cure. So subsequently, I didn't get a lot of work done. I did get to do some mental work, some brain work, something that doesn't really show up on camera, and figuring out how to do the base. And that's what I'm going to be working on today. But now that I've got this and the paint is dried overnight, what I want to do is stuff a paper towel in here so that I can spray this much with a satin coat, and that will allow me to put the decals on that need to happen. Ready? I've got the towel just covering up the interior there, and now I can step out on the porch. Although it's kind of chilly out there this morning, I may wait till a little later in the day, wait for it to warm up a bit before I hit that with the clear coat. Also today I'm going to finish up my ideas for the base. Now what you see here is how I'm going to hang the base. I just need to epoxy this in, and this will allow me to hang it on the wall kind of like that. And once that happens, well, I can, while I'm waiting for that to set up, I can cut the holes for the switches and the battery compartment, and that'll allow me to kind of hang the whole deal off the wall like that. I found an old imperial symbol that I had cut in vinyl a while ago, and I'm thinking that might be nice just to put that on the outside of the base, just kind of center it, since it's such a bullseye type of thing, and it'll look nice hanging on the wall with this symbol behind it. I did something similar to that when I did the big Blue Leader X-Wing. I used the big wooden, one of those big wooden bases, and I put a big blue Imperial symbol on that, or a big blue Rebel series logo on that. So yeah, I think that might be a nice spot. The thing is, I want to map this out so that my switches are not going to be interfering with it. And the problem with putting a switch on a dome, everybody knows this, is that you have to be careful of the depth of that switch so that it does not, doesn't push it away from the wall. These contacts, sometimes you can bend them over after you've soldered onto them. You can bend over the contacts, and that'll give you a little bit more leeway. But really, you have to be careful that you don't exceed the arc of the curve here. So you have to figure out what is your safe perimeter that you can use. I need to sand this up and put a nice color on it, because the bare plastic isn't quite the finish I'm looking for. But I want to go ahead and put my holes in first so that I can put the holes in, then do a light sanding and put a black. Maybe I'll find another reason to use that semi-gloss Tamiya black, or maybe I'll go with a deep blue or something. It's a chance to add a little bit more color to it. If I was a really skilled person and had the wherewithal, you might paint that up to look like the Death Star, like it was just coming away from the Death Star. That could be fun if you actually could sink a concave circle in there for the weapon. Put the big trench across the middle. You could really do that up nice as a Death Star. But that's not going to be the fate of this stand. All right, we're coming down to just a few things left to do. And one of those few things is the decaling. So we're going to start on the top hatch here, since I have one more thing to do on this. Once I've got the decals in, I can spray it with a top coat, and then I can put the clear part in and the bottom part to it. I don't want to put the clear part in while there's still a danger of clear coating that might get on top of that. So I've got the partial decals that need to go here, and by that I mean part of the danger sign and part of a Goodyear logo that go in these three spots. And let's go ahead and dunk those and get them ready to go on, and then we can address the ones that are on. There's nothing on the frame. There's nothing on the front frame. That's the only other piece that hasn't been attached. The base is in the other room drying. I've got a nice paint solution on that. The big ball with the wings is behind the camera right now. It's also had a clear coat on it, and it's drying. So once all of that has been done, I can put the final flat coating on that. The wings don't seem to have any sort of decals on them, so we don't need to put the wings on until we've got the ball and arms clear coated again. Alrighty, all the decals are on, but I still have plenty left over, which is a fine testament. A testament, I say, to the wonderful idea of giving you more than you need, just in case that you want to add more to your TIE Fighter to customize it, or if, you know, the carpet monster swallows something, or like in the case of the pilot, they just don't fold over the contours the way they should. But you've got plenty of extras if I wanted to, because I am a sucker for symmetry. I would want to even out all of the decals, but that's not how things always work when you're on an aircraft or something. You don't necessarily put symmetrical decals everywhere, so, or markings therein. So, but that's enough. You don't want to junk it up too much, I don't think. We're going to let this dry for a while now, and then we'll come back and give it a top coat and work on the base. Alrighty, it looks a bit odd, but I've got the TIE Fighter up on its up on blocks. You know, you got it up on blocks in the front yard. What can you say? I'm doing the final wiring onto the base. We've got the pew pew switch and then the on-off switch, and waiting for the iron to heat up. It only takes a second or two. No big deal. It's just something that has to get done. And then I shall be able to, see, this gives me a little bit of latitude that way. If I want to put the fighter at a jaunty angle, I can. But then it hangs on the wall off of those hooks in the top there. But yeah, see, I put a little Imperial symbol on the base. I think that looks nice. And of course all of the decals have been flatted in, and those will continue to dry. So the last thing to do really after we get this wired in is to put the wings on it. So stay tuned for that thrilling final chapter. Okay, so I've got the base, I've got the ship wired to the base. This is how it's going to mount on the wall, like this. I'm spotting something that I don't like, that I need to address, and that is that red area under there. I halfway addressed that when I've put brass tubing in there so that the light wouldn't contaminate the lasers. Oh, by the way, pew 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 pew. But I don't like that you can look in there. Let's see what that looks like with the frame in place. Even with the frame in place, you could still see it. So I think what I'm going to do is put some light blocking down in there, and I think it's going to end up being steel stick, because I can roll that up in a thin snake and push it down in there. But yeah, I'm going to get rid of that light. That bugs me. That bothers me. I don't like it. We won't stand for it. So we'll get rid of that, and then we'll be ready to pretty much finish this guy up. Okay, so we've taken care of that problem now. We've got some of the steel stick down in there, so we no longer have that light leak. And I'm ready to do some finishing touches, one of which is to glue the frame in place. Glue the frame in place. And the other is to glue the parts of this hatch together. Now the hatch is always meant to be removable, and I certainly don't want to glue it in such a way that I can't get in there and look at all the all the fine work that's been done. But I got to make sure in both cases not to get any of the adhesive on the clear windows. Now I'm also going to make the executive decision that I want the open window at the top and not a style at the top. So you put that in like that, and therefore you have a open window up at the top. And then after that, really, all that's left is putting the side wings on. I say side wings like there's top and bottom wings. No, there's just wings. But that's ready to go. So, yeah, this is that part that you always hate because, you know, it means you're almost done with the build and you're kind of putting it off and am I really ready for it or am I really ready? And you're second guessing and you're third guessing and yeah, you just have to finish it up. So let me go ahead and get these clear bits put on. Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday and I'm having a quandary, which if you know me is not unusual. I'm getting into a weird schedule lately where models that, you know, taking longer than a week, but less than 2 weeks. And I find myself either putting the video up on Wednesday and then, you know, starting something else right away, or, you know, I can do that, or I can stall and not do anything for the rest of the week, or I could pace myself and stretch a model into 2 weeks. That doesn't really, I won't say not that it doesn't justify it, but I normally wouldn't spend 2 weeks on it. Well, that's where I'm at with the TIE Fighter. Because it's done, it's, for all intents and purposes, it's done. There's not much else I can do to it. But it's, you know, I could finish it and put the video up tonight, but then, what, do I take 2 days off? Do I just do the video and hold on to it for a couple days and put it up on Friday? That's where I'm at, because when I do that, I feel like I have an obligation to put a video up on Friday. People expect that. And it's good for my routine. It's good for my mental schedule that I know that on Friday night I need to put up a video. But I also want to get stuff out just as soon as I get done with it, too. There's an impetus to say, oh, well, look, I finished the TIE Fighter. Look at it. Isn't it neat? But then I'm stuck. You know, I put up a bonus video on Wednesday, and then what do? Turn around and do nothing on Thursday and Friday? So there. That's where I'm at. But luckily, today, I could stall one more day because I got finally, the latest edition of the RoboCop build, which is for 3, 4, 5, and 6. Stages 3, 4, 5, and 6. And this time they got some nice one-sheets, or I guess these would be, they're not 8x10s, and maybe 11x17 frameable posters if you wanted to, let me see, they are, no, they're 9.5, about 9.5 by 14. So yeah, they could fit in an 11 by 14, 11 by 17 frame, but you'd have to mat them down. So they're nice little posters, and I guess these ones you could trim out. You could cut an 8.5 by 11 or an 8x10 section out of it and make a nice framed picture out of it that way. But nice little bonus with your build, and this is what the finished build will look like. Let me get the books. Each book has some nice behind-the-scenes stuff. Also has your instructions for, you know, building that particular stage. It's a little bit different than the Optimus Prime that I'm building, because those instructions are strictly online, and you have to download PDFs for those, so there's no printed material. The benefit of this is you can lay it open and just sit it next to it and really get a better grasp rather than scrolling up and down on a PDF. So I'm going to do this today. I'm not going to walk you through any of it because I'm not doing a build series on this, but I'll be happy to show you the results after I've finished them so you can see what the parts look like. But I'm not going to be doing it as a separate series. So I'll do that, and then I'll pull the TIE Fighter back in and show you where we are on that. And here's the final results, and I'll tell you that that hand was a treat. Oh man, that was not a fun build. But here we go. We've got the right hand and all of the jointed fingers. At some point, I'm sure I'll end up gluing those. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's the one that's going to hold the gun. So having built the Prime fingers and the RoboCop fingers, I will definitely tell you I prefer the method that the Prime figures use, but I understand this has to be smaller and more delicate, and yet still be jointed, so that's why all the parts are a little bit smaller. But here we have a magnetic back to the back of that, and this is replaceable because there's another hand further down the line that has that big data port spike. That is basically a one-piece hand that you would swap out for this one. So that's why that joint is. Plus the fact you want to have the wrist mobile anyway, but that's why that's designed that way. And then we have the two big chest pieces. These are the big impressive parts of the build. This time the back part of that is metal with a plastic top on it. As I understand it, I'm trying to think about how other builds have gone. That's kind of in the area where the speaker is too, so I don't know whether it's going to be handy to open that up or not. But this is the chest, if you would put it together like that. So that gives you an idea of the size of Murphy. I'm sure there are other parts that this is going to attach to, but take that and the head, and that'll give you an idea of the true size of this guy. And of course the hand and the foot, or the head and the foot, we did last time. But so we got one hand, one foot. We've got the start of the upper part of the arm. I think I might have this on backwards. I'd have to check. I might have this rubber piece on backwards. No, I don't think so. I think that's how it's supposed to, yeah, because those are the holes that it's supposed to go into. So yeah, I think that's on right. It just looks strange for some reason. But that's what we've got on the RoboCop build from Fan Home. If you're interested, go online, check it out for yourself. They're not paying me to advertise it, so I'm gonna make you work for it. Alrighty, here is the finished TIE Fighter. Now, I don't have it hung on the wall, obviously, because I'm still trying to manufacture wall space for that to happen. So rather than make you wait for all of that, I just decided to mock it up what it would look like against the wall. See, that's how it would mount. Be flat against the wall, and then it would hang out from that. Of course, you can see here, see the interior. If I pop the top on it, you can look down and see the floor. Put the top back on it for easy play. Let me go ahead and just fit that in. There you go. And then, of course, the fun part of it is being able, of course, I have to reach around. Have to give it a reach around here. Let me turn this whole thing around here and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, if you did something like that, and it was up against the wall that way, you would reach around to the button and go pew, pew. And there you go. That's the pew pew lights. But that is, and you know, I'm wondering whether I should go ahead and get the big cosmic nebula curtain out. Maybe I should do that. And there we go. It's on the space backdrop now. I think you can see that once the lighting hits it, and once you have some dark background around it, that it does all of a sudden look a lot lighter than it did when it was on a white background. So there is definitely a trick of the eye going on here, because it still looks, well, it looks that same dark bluish gray to me that it always has, but you really can see how you might have thought it was lighter gray than it was when you saw it in the theaters. But I'm not going to make the whooshing sound. I will do the see, reach under here and do the pew pew. Pew 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 pew. But that is the final finish TIE Fighter. And of course, what you're not seeing, I'll turn it around, what you're not seeing are the engine lights. I'll go ahead and back it around so you can see the lights from the engines are lit. So if I was gonna, do a quick zoom past it, maybe that would be my amateur filmmaking equivalent of zooming it around the room. But there you have the final look at the studio or studio scale Studio Series, sorry, I keep saying scale, Studio Series TIE Fighter from the fine folks at AMT slash round 2. But there's the shot straight down the barrel at the pilot. Just zoom right in. Very nice. Okay, I just got rid of that Imperial symbol that was on the base. It was more of a distraction than it was a benefit. So it had to go. Now it's a little bit cleaner of a display without it. Nice. And that's the week that was. Now, long-time viewers will remember a time way back, oh, 2-3 years ago, when I used to just show you what I did throughout the course of the week, and whether it finished a model or not, or whether I was working on 2 or 3 models. That's what you saw. So maybe that's a little bit of what was going on this week. I finished up the TIE Fighter early, and this answers the burning question. Yes, I waited till Friday to put it up. But I finished that model and did not want to start another formal project on Wednesday, so I just took some odds and ends and little trailing bits of projects and finished them up. Nothing, maybe not necessarily camera worthy. I did finally get some black felt, so I put some black felt on the bottom of the Ranger 3 stand, things like that, things that really wouldn't be of that great of an interest to you. So that's how I wrapped up my week. I will go through the stash, see what strikes my fancy, to see what I want to start for next week. Now there's a pull to do something spooky for spooky October, but I'm also, I got to tell you, I'm starting to gear up. There goes this compressor. I'm starting to gear up mentally for the big trip in November, so I'm having a hard time getting, keeping my brain straight on a few things. So I may be disjointed for a while. So I need to see what the next project's going to be. So come back on next week. For me, it'll be Monday. For you, it'll be a week from now or a week from whenever you're watching this. I hope people of the future look back on me kindly. But until next week, when we'll all figure out what we're doing, you all be safe, be smart, be good to each other, be good to yourself, build a model if you'd like, and come back here next time.